1, and we're live.
Sawubona, Madrone Mustangs. Welcome to South Africa. We're so glad you could join us this afternoon. It's afternoon for us. It's morning for you guys back in California. But we're so happy that you could be with us on this adventure. So, I'm going to introduce you to the team from Mopani Expeditions in just a minute. But we want you to know that this is your safari. So please, send us your questions. We want to hear from you. And we'll fire a few questions your way while we're outside the gates. So here inside the compound, we're safe. But once we get outside, it's wild. In fact, there are warthogs that live right here inside the camp. And there are fruit bats that have a place to stay just to my right over here. So let's not waste any time. Let's get started on this adventure. Ahifambi, as they say in Shangaan. Let's go.
My name is Lynn, and I want to star in a movie. Why is that artichoke talking? I'm a pangolin, which basically means my tongue is longer than my body, and I'm pretty much part bowling ball. But the pangolin pièce de résistance? We're the only mammals with scales. Pretty neat, huh? Poachers think so, too. You see, people use us for traditional medicine and leather boots. The situation is critical. Averaging about 100,000 goodbyes a year. I have to do something. I have to star in a movie. If I become famous, pangolins will become famous. People will notice us and finally care about us. So guys, help my species become known. In Hollywood, let me star in a movie. Please!
And we're driving. We're still inside the camp at Crocodile Bridge, one of my favorite camps. There's been a lot of activity, and hopefully it'll be there when we get outside. Anything can happen here in Africa. So, send me a question if you've got one. But as we leave the camp, I want to take a minute and send a special hello to Mrs. Harris's first grade class, including my Maddie. James and Lila, Kane, Gabe, Kingston, Tegan, and all the kids in Mrs. Harris's first grade class. Welcome. We're outside the gate. So let's see what we can find. We have a nice sunset and some beautiful African clouds. It was very hot today, about 106. But it's cooling off nicely, and this should bring some animals around. We've got some impala on the road already, but it's a good time, I think, to maybe introduce my team. So, producing the show tonight is Alex Coburn.
Hey everybody.
Our cameraman is Jeff.
Hi guys.
And our spotter is Marcel.
Hello everybody.
So, here we go. Earlier today, we had an elephant in the road, and we also found a crocodile at the water hole where we'll be going by.
Kudu.
Alex has spotted a kudu.
Stop for a sec.
Bridgman, can you stop? Thank you. And I'm hoping Jeff has it on camera. That's a female kudu.
So we've got some questions coming in. Are the animals more active at night?
The first question that came in was, are the animals more active at night? And yes, they do get active in the cooler hours of the evening, especially when it's hot during the day. So hopefully, if we're lucky, we'll get some cats moving around a little bit later. The kudu, I think, has a couple of birds on its back. Those are red-billed oxpeckers. That's an interesting bird. It serves a couple of purposes. It keeps the ticks and parasites off the animal's coat, but it also serves as an alarm call. If that bird takes flight off the animal's back, the animal knows that something's approaching it. So the two work together to stay safe. So while we're rolling through the park, We're going to be talking a lot about the biodiversity of Africa and how things work together while we're here. Let's go, Bridgman. We've spotted a few more kudu, but this is what a game drive is. Just because we don't see anything doesn't mean that's not there.
We've got a question from Candace. What's your favorite animal in Africa?
Candace is asking what my favorite animal in Africa is. Well, that's hard to say. I've got a few. But I think the one that I really like the most is the black rhino. It's very hard to find, but when you find it, it's really something special. Some other favorites are, oh, hold on a second. We found a few impala just off to the side of Jeff's camera there. These impala really support life in the Kruger Park. They're a primary species for the predators, and the population of these is not easily counted. There's so many. We'll probably see a lot of these as we roll through the park. But look, we've been here for just a couple minutes and we've seen a couple of species already. We know that in the Kruger Park there's at least 750 species. We were debating this on the way out. Probably more. There are over 500 species of birds alone.
So the 6th grade would like to know, have you ever had any scary animal experiences?
The 6th graders asked me a good question. Yes. Bridgman, let's keep going. I've been charged by elephant while on foot. I've been charged by lion. And there's a primary rule when you're on a bushwalk in Africa. The most important thing to do is you never ever run. You hold your ground and stay as a group. Trust your guide and they'll get you through the situation safely. I'm here to talk about it. I made it.
And Reese would like to know, are there different types of cats in Africa?
There are 10 different types of cats in Africa. The ones we see the most are lion. I think I've been here for 3 days now, I've seen 5 lions. We had a leopard sighting this morning that was in a tree. We did go back before we started the show to see if it was still there, and it had moved on because it cooled off and it probably went for a drink. Let's see, there are cheetahs. Our friend who's driving found a mother cheetah and 4 cubs on another road just yesterday evening. We also looked for them on the way here, but we couldn't find them.
Wesley wants to know what the fiercest animal is.
Leslie, that's a great question. I think that the buffalo and the elephant are most to be feared. Lions will typically run the other way unless they're defending their cubs. But if elephants have your number, watch out. The same with the buffalo. They can be quite dangerous. Marcel has spotted something in the distance. What do you see, Marcel? We have a wildebeest. Well spotted. And hopefully Jeff can pick that up on his camera for us. It's a little bit in the distance. But again, we just got started. This is how exciting it can be. I think that crocodile will be there in that water hole too.
If you don't mind. Here,
Sorry?
We had a good question come in about how many animals are in Africa. So I just wanted to bring up this map for a second, guys. Africa is humongous. If you can see on this map here, look in the upper left corner, the brown spot. That's the United States. Look, you could fit the United States into Africa about 4 times. So to think about how many animals are in Africa, you couldn't count them all if you tried. Now, if you're asking how many types or how many species, that's a really good question. I don't think I have the answer to. Do any of us in the truck know how many species of animal are there in Africa?
We figured at least 750 species, 520 species of birds.
Just in the Kruger Park.
Just in the Kruger Park. These are great questions, guys. I'm so happy you're making this safari your own. As far as your eyes can see right now, this is wild Africa. The only fences that are here are around the camps. The animals are wild. We're the ones who are supposed to be inside the wire, inside the fences, after the sun goes down. Unless you have special permission from the park, which we have.
We're getting a lot of good questions coming in. Things like, are there hippos in the park? Are any animals afraid of humans? Have you ever had to help an injured animal? What are the most deadly snakes in Africa?
These are great questions, guys. Let me tackle one. We saw 4 hippos at the water hole on the way here. The most dangerous snake in Africa, I would say, is the black mamba. We also have Mozambican spitting cobras, stiletto snakes. There are several highly venomous snakes here. We have not seen a single snake since I've arrived. Let's see. What was one of the other questions, Alex?
Here's a great one. How many types of plants are there?
How many types of plants are there
in Africa?
In Africa.
This is important.
This is a great question, and I don't know the answer. Oh, Marcel has spotted something else over here at the sunset. Oh, there's some more wildebeest.
Warthogs.
And warthogs. Boy, they're right into the sun. I'm not sure if we can pick those up right in the sunset. But that is a gorgeous sunset out there, guys.
Is it possible to turn the truck?
Let's see if we can get you a shot of this sunset.
How much do elephants weigh? From Isabella.
Isabella is asking, how much do elephants weigh? They can weigh upwards of 12,000 pounds. And typically they live for 60 years. Elephants have 6 sets of molars that last 10 years apiece. So it's quite common that they finish their lives eating mostly wet grasses, which are the only things they can chew once their last set of molars fall out. So take care of your teeth, guys. We only get one.
Are there any primates in the park?
We have a great question that just came in. Are there any primates in the park? There are lots of baboons, and we have vervet monkeys here in the Kruger National Park. The more famous primates like chimpanzee and the gorillas are further north in Central Africa.
What types of trees do fruit bats live in? Now this is funny because
We just got a question about what types of trees fruit bats live in. Well, they like warm places, so they typically will be in the bat barns that have been constructed by the national park to help their populations come back. We're also finding them in the upper thatched roofs in some of the picnic areas, wherever they can find warm places. Caves that are heated by the sun. The rocks are really warmed up during the sun, and they are more active during those warmer days. Should we turn around? Let's see. Maybe we can get to that crocodile before it's too dark. He'll probably be there.
Preschool's asking, where are the lions?
The preschoolers are asking, where are the lions? Well, that's the tricky part. The lions are everywhere. At night, we've been hearing them call. And they sound amazing. We love the sound of lions. And to answer your question directly, guys, they're everywhere. It's just, are we going to be lucky and see some?
Ash wants to know, how fast are cheetahs, and have you ever been bitten?
Great question. How fast are cheetahs? Cheetahs can run upwards of 70 miles an hour. And no, I have never been bitten by a cheetah, and I'm very happy about that.
How large is the Kruger Park?
How large is the Kruger Park is our latest question. That's a great question. The Kruger Park stretches across the state of California. In other words, imagine being in San Francisco and going all the way to Lake Tahoe, guys. That's a big park. Here's some more kudu we have right next to the road.
And Mason wants to know how many giraffes are in Africa. How many types of giraffes?
Ooh, can you help me out? Mason has a great question about how many types of giraffes are there in Africa. Let's turn it over to Alex for that question.
That's a fantastic question and a really tricky question to answer. I hope you guys have encountered what a species is. I don't know, maybe teachers give me like a hand raise or some kind of sign if your students have been exposed to, are there different types of animals? What makes a species? Because it's a tricky thing to define. And to answer your question about giraffe, now this gets weird because if you talk to some scientists, they'll say, well, there's 9 types of giraffes. And if you talk to others, they'll say, well, there's actually just 1. Because it depends on the little bits of an animal that you look at. So the one species of giraffe, let's get really fancy and technical. Are you guys ready? It's Giraffa camelopardalis. That's the scientific name for that animal. And in some parts of Africa, there could be up to 9 different types, but it's loosely based on what their coats look like and where they live. This gets a little strange because if you think about it, there's people that look different, right? And we wouldn't say that they're, different types of people because they just have, maybe their eyes are a little bit rounder, their nose is a little bit longer like mine. It's a tricky thing to pin down. So that's a great question. So I'm going to go with the safe new scientific answer. There's actually just 1 species of giraffe in all of Africa, and there's about 9 different variations in coat patterns. That's a great question. I'm going to hand it back over to Kevin.
Thanks, Alex. Here we've got a few more impala right alongside the road, but there's a bunch of, I see that there's some activity up ahead.
Oh good, we're at the water hole.
So we're gonna head to the water hole, guys.
Are there species of animals that are afraid of people?
Are there species of animals that are afraid of people? That's another very good question. Here in the Kruger Park, the animals are very used to vehicles, so they won't run from our cars. But if we were walking around on 2 legs, we call that bipedal. The animals fear humans, most all of them. The only time they'll hold their ground is when they're protecting their kids, because just like grown-ups, our most important job is to keep our kids safe, right?
Sam wants to know if you've been bitten by a snake while here.
I have never been bitten by a snake. I have friends who have been bitten by a snake, but I have not been bitten by a snake.
Stuck in a park after dark, what animal would you not want to run into?
I would not want to run into a buffalo. However, we've got a good sighting. We're being told there's a leopard up ahead, guys. This would be really special if we caught a leopard on camera for you guys. And there's an elephant on the other side of the water hole, so things are picking up. The impala's holding dead still because the predator is nearby. Uke wawabona ingwe, huh? Uke wawabona ingwe. I just asked the gentleman if he's seen the leopard, and he said yes. Can you guys see the impala holding absolutely still? Straight ahead. There's a leopard in the road, guys. I hope you saw that. It happens quickly. This is so exciting, guys. It's not every day we get to see leopards. And he ran right across the road. I hope you got a shot of it. Marcel, from your vantage point, can you see it? Looks like the word got out that there's a leopard in the area because there are a lot of cars circling now. I wonder, do you think they've stopped because they can see it, or they're just hoping? Let's... Asking what the strongest animal in Africa is.
Max wants to know how fast rhinos can run.
Well, we'll start with Titus's questions. The strongest animal, pound for pound, I would say is the elephant. And then the other question from Max was,
how fast can rhinos run?
How fast can rhinos run?
What's to see?
A leopard just here.
Sorry?
Leopard. Ingwe. Leopard.
Everybody's excited about the leopard sighting. Why don't we leave them behind and see if we can't find this elephant? Because I think we've got just a...
Types of animals in Africa.
Why are there so many types of animals in Africa? Well, this is a great question. Africa is so diverse because it's remained largely... These animals have been left alone compared to many other places. Oh, I've spotted a crocodile. Jeff, can you see the crocodile? And on the other side, we have an elephant, guys. So this is really getting fun. That's a lone bull elephant, a male elephant. He'll be off doing his own thing, following the female herd around with the families. The boys get a little older when they're elephants and they start to misbehave. So the big mamas run them out. But they'll follow along the females until they're welcome.
How many countries are in Africa?
How many countries are there in Africa? Alex, do you remember? 54. 54 countries in Africa.
And Logan wants to know what the most venomous animal in Africa is.
What the most venomous animal in Africa is. I mentioned the black mamba snake previously. There are 3 types of venom that snakes have: neurotoxic, cytotoxic, and hemotoxic. And the black mamba features a neurotoxic venom, which is fast acting And they often say it's time to find a shady spot if you've been bitten by one. We've spotted a large bird in the tree now. Marcel, what kind of bird is that? Sorry? We have a black-billed stork in the tree. And down in the water, you can really clearly see the back of that crocodile. Stop. It's pretty exciting stuff, guys, for only a half an hour in the bush.
Atticus wants to know what made you start coming here and learning about animals.
Atticus, that's a great question. My first trip to Africa was more than 20 years ago. And on my first trip, I didn't see any cats. No lions, no leopards, no cheetahs. But I saw lots of elephants. And I knew that Africa was a fantastic place with lots to discover and lots to explore. My second trip, I climbed Kilimanjaro. And I found even more lions and leopards. And I've always been fascinated by adventure. And that's what helps us broaden our view of the world and make changes. When we talk about biodiversity and saving our planet, the most important thing we can do is to travel to these places. Africa is easy to get to. It's far away, but it's not hard. And once people come here, they typically come back.
Brewer would like to know how often people get attacked. How dangerous it is.
That's a great question. How often are people attacked? Here in the Kruger Park, there are very few incidences over 50 or 60 years of the park's existence. This has not been the case, maybe a handful. And these are when people don't follow the rules. One of the main rules we have while we're here in the park is we stay in the vehicle. We always listen to our guides, and we use common sense. If there's a herd of elephants, we don't divide the herd. Let them be together.
What's the rarest animal in Africa?
What is the rarest animal in Africa? You guys, Madrone Mustangs have great questions. The rarest animal in Africa. One of the more endangered animals is a favorite of Alex's. That's the pangolin. Very rare. Extra credit points to anybody who can tell me what a pangolin has. It's the only mammal that has what? Alex will tell me if somebody can type in the answer. I'll count it down. 5. 4.
Miss Richard's class.
Scales.
Everyone's saying scales.
Scales. Everybody's lighting up with scales. That's right. It's the only mammal with scales, and they're very rare. I've never seen one. I'd love to see one. Wouldn't that be amazing if the Madrone Mustangs got to see a pangolin?
Austin Creek Elementary is also with us. Nice.
Hey, Austin Creek Elementary School is also with us. Thank you to Mrs. Christofferson for putting the word out. This is fantastic, guys. We're so happy we can bring Africa into your classroom.
Morgan wants to know if there's any camels in Africa.
Are there any camels in Africa? Yes, but they're in northern Africa. We're in southern Africa, in the country of South Africa. This is at the bottom of Africa where the Indian Ocean and the Atlantic Ocean collide. This is one of the other reasons that makes South Africa very biodiverse. With the collision of these currents, we have both cold water and warm water species. So you'll find whale sharks and manta rays and dolphins, as well as cold water species like great white sharks. Hey, here's an impala across the road.
Henry would like to know what the biggest predator is. Which animal is most likely to maybe kill you?
which animal is most likely to kill us is probably the smallest animal, the mosquito. Because here in the Kruger Park, malaria can be a problem. We take medicine so we don't get malaria if we're bitten by mosquitoes. Or we come visit when there are no mosquitoes. Are rhinos and elephants related? Alex is giving me the nod that they are not related. Sure, there are lots of questions coming in quickly. I'm going to pass the microphone to Alex for a minute.
Great question. Are elephants and rhinos related? Not even a little tiny bit. So let's pull out some big science words here. The scientific name for elephants are Loxodonta africana. That's the kind we see around here. And there's two types of rhinos that live in this area. There's black rhinos and white rhinos, which again, let's just get really fun and sciencey for 2 seconds. We've got Ceratotherium simum is the white rhino and Dipteros bicornis, the black rhino. Now, these animals have no connections, even in the slightest. Would you believe me if I told you that the closest cousin that we might see on this drive right now to a rhino is actually a zebra? They're more closely related than a rhino ever would be to an elephant. And did you know that there's elephants also in another part of the world? They're in Asia as well. And this is crazy because the elephants in Asia aren't connected even a little tiny bit to the elephants here in Africa. They're two entirely different things. I think that's pretty cool, but I'm a huge nerd. I love science. That's why I came out here to study wildlife and wear a lot of khaki like this, but also to be able to help folks like you guys back home learn about, say an elephant or a rhino. I'll pass it back over here to Kevin. You ready? Here we go.
Hey guys. In the last 30 or so minutes, we've seen how many species, guys? 8, 10, 12? And that's just one evening here in Africa. This is really exciting stuff. And we're super glad we could bring it to you all the way around the world.
Jones wants to know if black rhinos are actually black.
Are black rhinos actually black? No. The difference between a black and a white rhino is this. It's a transmutation of the word wide. That's a fancy word, transmutation. When the original settlers came, they called the white rhino the wide-mouthed rhino because it grazed like a cow. The black rhino eats sticks and leaves. It doesn't eat grass like the white rhino. So that's the difference between the two. The black rhino lives in thicker, dense cover where it can find those fresh sticks and leaves. The white rhino is more in open areas where grass exists and they're more easily spotted. The black rhino are very hard to find in that dense cover.
So does the park keep poachers away?
Great question. Does the park keep poachers away? Poaching is a problem here in the Kruger Park, and yes, they work very hard at keeping poachers away. They have special canine units, dog units, that can track poachers. They have a helicopter that services this corner of the park. We saw the helicopter flying today. We also saw one of the anti-poaching units rolling around. They wear camouflage gear and they stay out all day, all night for weeks at a time, trying to keep the animals safe.
Have you ever seen a predator eating their prey?
Have I ever seen a predator eat their prey? Well, the answer is yes. Just today, we happened to see a buffalo near the river that the crocodiles were having for lunch.
And do you know how long black mambas might live for?
Ooh, a great question.
And on that note, are there rattlesnakes in Africa?
What is the lifespan of a black mamba? Anybody? Guys? Help Uncle Kevin out with that one. Lifespan of a black mamba. Maybe 20 years? More or less. And then the other question about snakes was, Alex, what was that other question?
Are there rattlesnakes in Africa?
There are not rattlesnakes in Africa. However, they have a venomous snake that looks very much like the rattlesnake. It's called the puff adder. Rather than rattling to tell us, hey, get away from me, they make a puffing or hissing sound, and that's why they call them the puff adder. But they're very camouflaged, just like the rattlesnake.
So we've got 2 more questions coming in. Stella wants to know, what kind of truck are we in and how does it help us do our job?
Stella, we're in a 10-seater safari vehicle. It's basically on a Nissan truck platform, and it has stadium seating in it, and it's custom made for the park. And what was the second part of that question, Alex?
How does it help do our job?
Well, because the seating is elevated as it goes back, Marcel in the back is pointing animals to us as we roll along. So that's one way it helps us. It's also covered. Keeps the sun off of us because it was very hot today. It was over 100 degrees here.
And all of this about symbiotic relationships.
Symbiotic relationships is the question from all of them. There are many symbiotic relationships. The zebras and the giraffes work closely together. And it's not just between animals, but the other part of symbiosis that occurs in Africa can be between animals and plants. For example, when the giraffe feed upon an acacia tree, the acacia tree in its defense will emit a pheromone, which is a chemical that's very distasteful to the giraffe. So the giraffe will not feed on that tree. The wind will carry that pheromone to other acacia trees, which will in response put the pheromone out. This makes the acacia tree very distasteful to giraffes. So the trees can work together to protect themselves from the giraffe. Accordingly, the giraffes will always feed into the prevailing winds to avoid this distasteful pheromone. So trees and animals can all work together.
Sophia wants to know what the biggest animal in Africa is.
The biggest animal in Africa would be Africanus loxodontus, the African elephant. And as I say, they can be 12,000 pounds or more. I think the largest lion in the park, I was once told, was darted and weighed at over 600 pounds. That's a big cat.
Are there nocturnal animals?
There are lots of nocturnal animals. Austin, great question. Lots of nocturnal animals. We've been listening to the lions at night, as well as the hyena, which are very active at night. The leopard will be more active in the evening hours, especially when it's hot like it was today. Genets, civet are other species that are very active at night.
And Gabe wants to know, are there peregrine falcons?
Gabe, are there peregrine falcons? There are not peregrine falcons here on the continent of Africa, but we have a lot of raptor species. We've seen lots of eagles. Alex is giving me another question.
Are there baobab trees?
Are there baobab trees? Yes, baobab trees from Madagascar, right? Well, they're not just on the island of Madagascar. They're here in southern Africa. They're more prevalent in Mozambique and in the more temperate climates towards Tanzania and the island of Zanzibar. But yes, there are baobab trees, and I'll bring a picture of a baobab tree back to Madrone when we get back. So guys, we're back to camp at Crocodile Bridge. I want to say thank you to Mrs. Christofferson, and I want to thank you guys, all the Madrone Mustangs, for your fantastic questions. We're so happy we could share this short safari drive with you. So, keep learning, stay strong, and we'll see you in a few weeks when we get back. Thanks for joining us here in the Kruger Park in South Africa. As they say in the native language of Shangaan, Lalakashe, Hambakashe, go well, sleep well. Have a great day, guys.